A topic that's been on my mind is job instability. This is a real fear for many people. If you rely on your salary or income to make your living, this is real that if something is going on with your job, you happen to lose your job, or you feel unsure about your job, you should be worried. From me getting messages from acquaintances and friends about unexpected layoffs, to talk of return to office policies, to just all the workplace drama and politics, how could you not let it cloud your mind when it might affect your ability to provide for yourself and your family? I'm going to talk about some steps and things you can do if you're facing a situation of job instability. Welcome, I'm Sandra Park. I'm an engineer and a financial coach helping women in STEM engineer her path to financial freedom. On this channel, I talk about everything from building a budget to building wealth. Let's dive in. If your employment is threatened or you feel it's really unstable, this is more if you actually lose your job, I would look immediately into unemployment benefits. Not everyone is eligible. It varies by state. This is why I cannot give very specific recommendations, but look into this ASAP. It's a process that you will have to get enrolled in and get approved for, and you want to understand all the conditions and what you have to do in order to receive that money to get the unemployment benefits. Number 2, if this does happen, take a moment to breathe. And I know that sounds really trite, but whether you wanted to leave your job or whether that situation was put upon you, it's really critical in this time of transition to pause and to take a breath and understand this is a big traumatic event. Whether you liked your job or not, this is a bit like a breakup, and you're gonna have to process this. One of the reasons why I talk about this is I realized I would talk with people who had a bad job situation years ago, or maybe they got laid off 15 or 10 years ago, and they still talked about it like it happened yesterday. You could tell it was this fresh wound because they never really processed this event. It really taints them going forward in any type of job search, any type of job situation. They're recounting that event like it just happened yesterday. I think it's really important, regardless of your finances or not, to process these traumatic job situations that may happen to you. A lot of us thrive on stability and certainty. When you're in this situation where you're uncertain about where your next paycheck is coming from, how are you going to provide for your family, where's your income coming from, it is a real thing to be concerned, and we don't want to minimize that. I think everyone has to take some time to process that, get support from other people, but take this seriously that this is a real traumatic event. Number 3 is to treat your job search like a full-time job. In some ways, when you lose your job and you're in the job searching mode, it's almost more stressful than having a job because you're not told what to do all day long. There's no playbook sometimes for exactly how do you find a new job. Well, I'm going to talk about that in a future step, but there's nothing that says you must apply for 10 jobs today or what. Nothing happens usually. This is a period of time where you have to be motivated, very self-driven, and you're going to have to proactively look for jobs. Volume does count, right? Because you want to have options. You can't just apply for one job or talk to one person a week. You can certainly do that, but your progress will be much slower. One thing I suggest is if you keep track of the actual things you are doing towards getting this new job, once you put that down on paper or somewhere digitally, you can actually assess what type of actions are you doing on a week-to-week basis to attain a new job. Sometimes I think we can get stuck in our feelings, or we can feel like, oh, I scrolled LinkedIn and then I messaged one friend and then I applied for one job and then I got 2 rejection notices. It can kind of feel like they're doing a lot of things in the search for a job, but once you put pen to paper, you can actually look and see in real words how much progress did you make? What actions are you taking? This is a scenario where unfortunately we don't control the outcome, right? You're trying to get hired by someone else in a traditional job search. All you can really track and do and control in this situation is your actions. What effort are you putting forth? Who are you reaching out to? How many jobs are you applying to? What type of courses are you doing? How are you upskilling potentially? My next point might be controversial to some, but if you are in the situation where you've lost your employment and main source of income, or you are the breadwinner in providing for your family, and let's say you do not have any emergency funds set aside for this scenario. You don't have any money to live off of. I'm sorry to say, but you have to get some temporary income, which means temporary employment somehow. I know for many people in higher income earning jobs, the job search cycle can be a longer job search, which means that some people are out of work for 6 months or a year or over a year. So you need to be prepared for that financially. The only way you can sustain yourself in a long job search and not get super desperate and just take whatever offer is the first offer given to you or some lowball offer because all your money is running out, you're putting your daily expenses on credit cards now, is to shore up your finances. So this might mean taking a job that you don't really want to do or work for that long, but remember, this is just a season. This is a job to provide for your family for just a season. It might mean pet sitting, babysitting, house cleaning, door dashing, things that may not be so desirable long-term, but these are short-term solutions while you're in what Dave Ramsey calls storm mode. Storm mode is batten down the hatches. This might be a little bumpy or rocky. What can you do to get yourself through it? To me, the stress of digging yourself into more debt or increasing credit card debt during this time, why would you do that to yourself when you're in a job search period, when you need to be in the best mental state possible, which means you go into job interviews as these are just options. I don't have to work for you. I want to have a conversation about how I can maybe fit into your workplace, but how does this workplace or company or job fit into my life? The only way you can go into interviews with that type of attitude is when you're very financially sound. The next point that some people might have to consider is reviewing and adjusting your budget. I'm not talking about just necessarily only cutting out expenses. There might be some increased expenses that have to get added in. Some of the expenses you might want to assess are you might not be eating out so much for lunch. You might not have to buy so much clothes for work or makeup, or maybe not do so many beauty stuff. If you're home a little bit more in a job searching mode, well, never mind. If you are in job searching mode, you probably do need to look your best. My whole point is some of the expenses associated with your career and your job might go down. Some of the expenses that might go up, right? You might have to pay for help with your resume. You might pay for the assistance of a career coach. You might upgrade your LinkedIn account to LinkedIn Premium. Take all those things into account. For a lot of people, if you commute, that cost of commuting that's eliminated if you don't have a job in this time period is another cost that might benefit your budget. Adjust your budget to reflect this period of transition. Being in a strong financial position helps you weather this storm and this transition period of life. When you're worried about your immediate survival and how you're going to pay all your bills and eat and pay for the roof over your head, you don't want to add this on to a situation when you're looking for a job. Too often, I've seen people accept offers out of desperation, not negotiate their salaries. The goal is to weather this period of job instability with confidence and not fear. Stay proactive, stay prepared, and remember, you are in control of your financial future.